Hello, hello, it is Sarah. It has been a very, very long time since I've made a scrapbooking video for my Scrap Bee Bear YouTube channel, but my sister Tracy, aka Mercy Tierra, has challenged me to share some of my scrap room. As I hear, there has been a lot of discussions on the Facebook group around storage ideas. So to give you a bit of background on my current scrap room, a couple months ago, I did some musical rooms is what I played. I had a new baby coming in and I had to move my oldest son into a new big boy room, which was my scrap room at the time. And his room became the nursery. And then my scrap room moved into the basement, which is this room. And this room used to be a spare room slash office. So I had to combine spare room, office, and scrap room all in one. So with that came a lot of condensing and new storage solutions. So I actually went from like a double full closet that was fully dedicated to scrapbooking supplies to a smaller single closet, which includes all of my office materials and wrapping supplies and stuff like that. And then of course I went from having a big scrapbook table and a desk now to just a desk. And then of course I had to reserve some floor space for an air mattress for when I have guests that come and visit. So it's been an adventure trying to condense everything. I had to sell a lot of my supplies. But what I wanted to share with you today is just some of the storage solutions that I put in place to house all of my scrapbooking supplies that I decided to keep. So typically when I scrapbook now, which is much less often now that I have two kids running around, I will actually just use my desk here. So I'll just kind of move my keyboard over to the side, and I keep my paper cutter down here and I just pull it up and put it up on my desk, pull up a chair, and I'll just use this space. I have this pretty nifty organizer. It's by Umbra. I can't remember what it's called, but it's pretty nifty. It can actually be mounted on the wall as well, if that's what you'd like to do, which keeps all of my markers and some of my adhesives and things like that very handy for when I'm working. Underneath my computer monitor here, this is where I'm keeping all of my tags and frames in here, and then I also keep my tag makers in here, and I kind of use that as a monitor lift as well, so it just gave me a little bit more space to store underneath my monitor, which would typically be taking up space anyways. And I ended up condensing a lot of my scrapbook embellishments I basically gave myself some boundaries when I was condensing. So I said, okay, all of my embellishments need to fit in this basket. And that's kind of how I did it. And I forced myself to choose and keep the ones that were most inspiring to me and the ones that I felt I would use the most. So that was a fun challenge, that's for sure. One of the things that I kept from my old scrap room is this shelf here. The reason being is because it's mounted on the wall, it doesn't take a lot of space. You know, it's not like a unit on the floor that takes up square footage. And it holds so much stuff. This is from Michael's. I think it's Recollections. That's their brand of scrapbooking stuff. And I know my sister has this too, so you've probably seen it in her scrap room videos. But I never used to use these ribbon spools. I had always had like supplies on here, but because I was condensing, this was another one of my objectives. Take all of the ribbon that I use most of the time and make it fit on those spools. Plus I was able to do some decorative things as well, like display it so that it could be, part of the decor, I guess, of the room, to have some of the things on display on the shelf. You might recognize These faces, these are my sister's kids, my nieces. They're the subjects in a lot of Mercy Tiara's layouts. So my inks, some of my most used paints, smooch, stickles, you know, the color mists and embossing powder. So that's pretty much what I keep on this unit here. This bookshelf is mostly my office stuff. So I have, you know, just some of my books and magazines. I keep all of my little pieces of ribbon, my leftover pieces of ribbon in here. And again, that kind of just adds to the decor of the room. Some of my office supplies are kept in here. In these baskets is my sewing kit and embroidery thread and things of that nature. I was able to use this easel here to display some of my scrapbooking work. And I have these canisters. My mom actually gave me these canisters. She didn't want them anymore. And they had like the little pieces, like the little labels on them underneath were falling off. So I actually just picked up some of those Martha Stewart sticker chalkboards and covered it. And all of a sudden it looks like a brand new canister, and it looks like this was how they came. But anyways, I'm keeping different things in here like tape and stuff like that in there. So again, some of the storage solutions add to the decor, but it hides kind of the messy stuff. But everything is kind of kept together and organized nicely. One of the other things I did was I have one, I guess this is a shoe holder. I picked this up at Winners, I think. And this is where I keep all of my punches. So it goes over the back of the door. Punches are so chunky and they take up so much room. So it's kind of nice to have a spot that's inconspicuous and, you know, kind of has them all on display so you can see what your options are. Without taking a lot of room somewhere's on a shelf or in a bucket. You know, behind the door is a great spot to store things because it really does save you space. And so my scrapbook room before, the whole room was dedicated to scrapbooking supplies. So this time, I pretty much have this shelf and this closet for the most part. So I really did have to narrow down what I was keeping and find a way to kind of put it all together. So on this shelf, I have a couple of bins at the bottom. So in this bin here, I keep everything related to embossing, some of my stamping blocks and sponges. This room also being like my office, and I'm also keeping like wrapping paper, stuff for wrapping presents, party supplies. So this is where some of the party type ribbons are and stuff for wrapping gifts is kept. And then in here is where I keep all of my photos that I plan on scrapping or things that I have printed that I'll be doing projects with. And this bin is everything adhesive. So everything from my sticker maker to pop dots to glue dots to, you know, the spray adhesive, foam tape, everything, glue gun, anything that sticks is kept in there. And this is where I keep my Project Life cards. So this bin was from Michael's. And again, having to just have a very small collection of things and kind of narrow things down. It was just perfect size to keep all of the little cards. So, and then if I'm going to do Project Life, I just pull out this little basket, which is kind of nice. This tray is where I have some of my Smash book accessories. And in here, so I had a huge collection of stamps. So again, I had to narrow it down and say, if I'm going to keep it, it has to fit in this bin. So I have my wooden stamps on the front there so I can see them very easily. And then in the back of this, I have whatever I could fit in is basically how we did it. So I have that. And this is conveniently kept right above the bucket where I keep all of the stuff that I would need for for stamping as well. So in here I have this little caddy, and at one point when I had my nice big scrapbooking table separate from my desk, I had the Recollections white rotating unit where I put all of my handy tools, but this is just a little bit more, it's small, it takes up a smaller footprint, and it just kind of keeps like my scissors and cutters and erasers and and all those kinds of tools that you need handy. So I can just kind of pick it up and put it on my desk if I'm working on a project, and it doesn't take too much space when I'm not using it. And then over here, I probably had at least 10 of these types of boxes, and some of them are really large. So I decided I need to narrow it down, and it's got to fit in this square. So that was, it's hard to shave down your supplies, but I find it a little bit less overwhelming now when I do scrapbook, because I don't have so much stuff to sift through. So I have brads, embellishments, eyelets, and solid brads. I have this little paint bucket, which is where I keep all my buttons, and my kids like to play with this bucket. We do a lot of color sorting and crafts and stuff with the buttons in there too. And it's good to break up the storage with just a little bit of decorative elements too. So this, I actually stole this idea from my sister. She has one of these in her craft room and I loved it. So I just picked it up at Winners, and I keep my washi tape in the top and my stamps in the bottom. And then these are some of my most used paintbrushes. I did keep this unit because I was able to sort of set it nicely on top of the shelving unit, but it keeps some of my stamps, some of my favorite embellishments, all of my markers and pens and stuff, my 6x6 paper and my 4x6 paper, and my stencils. So just anything that I could kind of stash in there upright for easy grab and go. And then my closet. So for my closet, I was really trying to maximize the use of the vertical space because I wasn't able to expand like I did in my double closet in my old scrap room. And again, this closet really does have a lot of my office stuff in it as well. But some of the things that I did to try and condense was anything that was holiday related, whether it be Christmas or Halloween, is in these 3 buckets. So that just it lightened the load of all my washi tape, all my ribbon, my paper, like the places where I store other stuff. It lightened the load by just pulling all the holiday stuff into one bucket. Because I mean, a lot of the time, if I'm going to do holiday scrapping, I have all my stuff already pulled together. So first of all, it makes it a lot easier. And chances are I'm not going to use most of that stuff anyways, unless it's the holidays. So that was something that I did that helped with condensing my storage. I still have like all my paint supplies and paint and all my distress stuff kept in separate buckets. Again, I have office stuff in here too. So this is where I keep my scrap paper so that I can easily use my leftover paper. And I have labels on there. So I stamped them and colored them in so I knew what colors were in each drawer. And this is used for when I go to, I guess, other people's houses for scrapbooking, or if I'm working on projects elsewhere. But this is where I keep all of my greeting cards, my Christmas cards, envelopes, gift bags. I have my folding tool in here. I can't remember what that's called. Anything that's used for making mini albums, I also have in here. Like I have some chipboard albums in here. I have some of my templates. So I actually, even though this is used for transporting stuff when you scrapbook at other places or you're traveling with your scrapbook gear, I'm using it to store things. And so this is sort of I guess the biggest change to how I store my stuff. So I used to have all of my paper grouped together, all of my embellishments grouped together, all of my stickers grouped together, and that kind of thing. So what I did when I moved down here in the smaller space is I created this project basket, which is where I have everything that coordinates put together in an envelope. So it's almost like if you scrapbook with kits. I mean, I do have some kits, but often if I was just buying scrapbooking supplies, I'd buy paper, but then I'd also have, you know, some garland or some washi tape or some chipboard embellishments and things that coordinated. So I just collected them together, and now they are in these envelopes. So if I want to work on a project and I choose a color or a feel based on the paper, I have everything that I need right in the pocket to be able to embellish. And it makes it a little bit less tedious to have to kind of go through all the different areas of my scrap room, pulling together the stuff that I would scrapbook with. And it's really lightened the load as far as storage goes in all of the other places in my room. And one of the things that a lot of people used to comment on in my old room was I had this big double closet. And I had all of my embellishments, every single embellishment that I owned, hung up using these shower curtain hooks. So down here, because I did something different with my embellishments and I really shaved down, I didn't use it for embellishments, I used it for letters instead. But when I did embellishments, how I did it is I grouped it together by category. So all my beach embellishments would be together. Then all of my home sweet home type embellishments, all my vacation embellishments and travel would be grouped together along the bar. And then on the shower hook, I would actually tie a little ribbon, and I made a little tag similar to these ones that explained what the category was. So if I was looking for embellishments, I could go right to the spot where the stuff was that I would need depending on what layout I was doing. And the little ribbon gave me a visual to know where the division of categories were amongst, you know, a big long double closet bar worth of stuff. So again, just a good way to make use of vertical space when there's no clothes in this closet. You know, it's good to go up. So the top of this closet has my scrapbook albums, paper, all kinds of wrapping stuff is in there. This is like office papers and things, some memory boxes and things. So as you can see, I pretty much went to the ceiling in this closet so I could make use of all of the vertical space that I had. I think the last thing I wanted to show was this bar. So this bar is just a towel bar. It's also made by Umbra, and I use the same idea of the shower hooks to hang all of my scrapbook albums, my mini albums. I find mini albums are kind of hard to display, and you know, kind of instead of having them all over the room, being able to kind of keep them all together and you know, display. So mini albums are hard work, man. So being able to put them on display instead of having them in a box because they're chunky and there's no place to put them, it's a good spot to put them out. And sometimes I'll actually, if I'm scrapbooking and I'm looking for an idea, I'll flip through some of my old ones and I'll be like, oh yeah, I liked it when I tried that and that worked well. And it'll actually give me ideas of different techniques to have them sort of handy, which is nice. And one of the things that I really enjoyed doing moving into this room was building this gallery wall. So I was able to print off some of my favorite photos of my children and have them up on the wall to inspire me. And yeah, I guess that's it. So that's the tour of my scrap room. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.